So there you have it. Manchester City have just beat Fulham 5-4 in a very, very hectic and chaotic Premier League match. And wow, that game had me on the edge of my seat for all the wrong reasons. And there's plenty of negatives and positives to talk about from this game. And you'll know exactly what I'm going to say if you're in my watch along for this game. But before we even get into the 5 things that we learned from this game, please do like the video if you enjoyed and comment your thoughts on the game in the comments down below and what you think of the 5 things that I learned from this game. And obviously, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. With all that being said, let's get into the first thing that we learned from Manchester City versus Fulham. I think the first thing and most obvious thing that we learned from that game is Phil Foden is well and truly back, right? Foden saved us on the weekend against Leeds with his goal in the opening minute and his goal in added time, right? Saved us from absolute embarrassment against Leeds after I criticised him for his performance and his missed chances against Newcastle the weekend before. And he scored a brace again today and he was absolutely superb. He's absolutely superb up until probably the last 20-25 minutes of the game. But everybody was bad in that sense, and that's something I'll get onto later. But before that, he was absolutely running the show. His first goal was beautiful. You know, every time he was picking up the ball, he was demanding the ball. He was occupying pockets of space. He was demanding the ball. He was taking the ball on the half turn. He was scanning around, looking for the passes. He played a beautiful pass out to Doku, who then whipped in the cross for Haaland's first goal. You know, Foden's first goal was excellent. And then you look at his second goal, the anticipation, right? The sort of poaching instinct that he had to attack the box after Haaland was played for on goal, just in case things didn't go to plan. And they didn't go to plan. And then Foden was there to capitalise himself. So, you know, Foden's back. Foden's back playing his best. And, you know, I know people have, you know, said that very prematurely this season, but I truly believe that Phil Foden is playing back at his best this season. And he could be the difference maker for Manchester City and whether we win silverware this season and we don't win silverware. So, you know, Phil Foden being back to his best is a huge, huge positive for City. But then you move on to thing number 2, which is a negative for me, and it's Erling Haaland's finishing at the moment. Obviously, I spoke about how, you know, he missed a golden opportunity in the opening minutes against Newcastle, and that went on to cost us. He missed another golden opportunity to put the ball past Leno after a beautiful pass from Phil Foden within the first 7 minutes of this game. And I was like, oh no, it's going to be another one of those games where we just get chance after chance and we miss and miss and miss. But then he obviously did end up giving us the lead through that Jeremy Doku cross. And, you know, Haaland then did go and provide an excellent assist for Tijjani Reinders, holding off Anderson and I believe Sanderberg to turn and play the pass through for Reinders, who then dinked it over Leno. But Haaland then went and missed another golden opportunity after Savinho crossed the ball into him. So, you know, we're not completely relying on Haaland to score goals now. Look, we've got Reinders on 2 Premier League goals now. I think Foden is on 5, I want to say. Potentially 4 or 5. Obviously, Doku could have got 1, but he was given as a Sanderberg own goal. So, you know, other people are starting to chip in with goals. But that doesn't mean Haaland's finishing can just completely fall off a cliff. Because that's 3 big chances in the last 3 games that I can remember now that Erling Haaland does not put in the back of the net. And the chance that he missed against Newcastle cost us. And those 2 chances he missed today almost cost us. You know, it wouldn't have been on him entirely with our defence utterly capitulating in that second half. And that's something I'll definitely talk about later in this video. But I was thinking to myself as we approached the end of the game and the game was 5-4, I'm thinking, are we really, really going to regret Erling Haaland not taking those chances? Luckily, we didn't. But I don't want this to be an ongoing theme from the season where Erling Haaland is starting to waste more and more chances, especially when our defence is at its least stable it has been in a long, long time. Otherwise, us leaking goals for fun, even when we're meant to be in the prime position to just see out a game. So Erling Haaland, I hope this is only a blip. Obviously, you got a goal and an assist today, so it's very harsh to criticise you. But those 2 chances you missed have to be found in the back of the net. The one where he's hit the inside of the post going past Leno, and the header where he's again hit the inside of the post from the cross from Savinho. So hopefully Erling Haaland can get back to Erling Haaland standard and basically scoring every time he's in one-on-one with the goalkeeper. And the third thing we learned from this game is a positive, but it's not for Manchester City. It's actually for Fulham, because I was very, very impressed by the performances of Alex Iwobi and Harry Wilson today. Obviously, I knew Harry Wilson was going to be a threat because he's very, very good. Very, very good creative player, right? You know, I'm a huge fan of Harry Wilson, and I have been for a long time, obviously, when he was at Derby, on Bournemouth as well. You know, I know Harry Wilson is a very, very good player. And he was exceptional today. His cross for Smith Rowe's goal in the first half was exceptional. A very, very pinpoint cross. And every time he was getting in that position to whip in a cross, I was like, alarm bells are ringing here. Someone needs to do something. And even tracking back and doubling up with Kenny Tete and Timothy Castagna on Jeremy Doku, you know, he was exceptional. Up and down the right side for Fulham. And I thought he was very, very good. And, you know, when he came off, I was like, ooh, are Fulham going to lack a little bit here? But obviously, Chukwueze came on in his place and scored a brace. So you really, really can't complain there, can you? But Iwobi, on the other hand, what Iwobi was doing was like a light version of what Reece James was doing against Arsenal. Alex Iwobi was absolutely everywhere. He was winning the ball back. Him and Bassey kept winning the ball back off Haaland and the Manchester City attackers. He was progressing the ball forward. He was dribbling with the ball forward. He was linking up the play. You know, I feel like Iwobi didn't even misplace a pass in that game. You know, he kept crossing the ball. Obviously, some of his crosses didn't meet the target, but I'm talking like on the ground passes. You know, he was crossing the ball. He obviously scored a wonderful goal, which was Fulham's second goal. And, you know, every time Iwobi had the ball on the edge of our box, I was panicking. And again, like I said, the same for Harry Wilson as well. I thought Harry Wilson and Alex Iwobi were absolutely exceptional for Fulham today. I think Calvin Bassey was good as well. Obviously, Chukwueze, when he came on the pitch, I thought Sander Berg was good. But the two standouts for me, who can hold their head high in that quite disappointing loss for Fulham, actually, considering how the game ended, are Alex Iwobi and Harry Wilson, who I thought were fantastic. And if there's any Fulham fans watching this video, let me know, am I, you know, being harsh on everybody else in the team, or were Harry Wilson and Alex Iwobi just head and shoulders above everybody else on the pitch for you today? And thing number 4 that we learned from this game is Manchester City's defence is not good enough, full stop. Obviously, in my preview for this game, I said I think Kusanov should start ahead of Matheus Nunes. And I actually think Matheus Nunes did quite well today. I thought he was winning a lot of his duels. He was very good going forward. Obviously, there were a few times where the defender got the better of him. But I thought, on the whole, Matheus Nunes had a decent game, especially compared to his game against Leeds and his game against Newcastle. But when you look at Fulham's goals, it's a Smith Rowe one, for example. Obviously, Nunes takes a weak touch, a bad touch after Foden heads the corner away. He then gets muscled off the ball by, I think it was either Iwobi or Bassey. I can't remember which one it was. They play the ball into Harry Wilson. Foden decides to drop deep back into the box instead of going to press Wilson, meaning he can get the free cross in, you know, unmarked. And then Smith Rowe goes into the box, nobody watching him, nobody picking him up, and he gently heads the ball into the back of City's net to make it 3-1. And then you look at the goal that makes it 5-2. And obviously, it's a weak clearance out of the box, and Iwobi, nobody watching Iwobi on the edge of the box is able to just run onto it and just curl it into the back of the net. And I think that was an excellent goal from Iwobi. Very, very well taken goal. And I even said that in my stream that it was a very, very good goal. So, we concede that Iwobi goal and it's 5-2. Then Chukwueze is able to run on to the end of a Castagna. So Castagna's cut the ball back, and Chukwueze is able to, again, from deep, nobody watching him on the edge of the box. Foden closes it down too quickly. He's able to run onto the ball first time and curl it into the back of the net. So the game's now 5-3, and City have conceded the same goal twice in a row. So what did Man City go and do? When defending a corner, Donnarumma punches it clear, and you'll never guess what happens. Chukwueze arrives on the edge of the box, uncontested, to volley the ball in the back of the net. And now Man City have went from having a 4-goal lead to a 1-goal lead. And all 3 goals in that time have basically been a carbon copy of each other, of the City defenders doing a half-ass clearance out of the box, and just allowing a Fulham player to run onto the ball at the edge of the box with no pressure. And, you know, luckily after that goal, we did learn our lesson, and there was always a spare man over on the edge of the box to just chase those loose balls to make sure it didn't happen again. But, you know, Josh King came close to scoring after he put it around Donnarumma, and Vardy was able to clear it off the line. And we still even looked shaky with us having to resort to keeping the ball up the pitch and trying to hoard it in the corner, because we couldn't see out a 4-goal lead. We almost bottled a 4-goal lead. We started struggling at the end of that game after being 5-1 up in the 58th minute, I think, is when Iwobi made it 5-2. So in the 57th minute, we were 5-1 up. And we win the game 5-4 with us struggling in the last 50 minutes to hang on to the lead. It's not good enough. And it's the exact same thing that happened against Leeds. We were in a comfortable position at home against Leeds, 2-0 up, and we just let it slip and we threw it away due to careless defending. So the team really do need to fix up at the back because it's not good enough. And the fifth thing we learned is a positive for City to end off. And I thought Savinho played really well when he came on the pitch. And obviously, I'm a vocal critic of Savinho. I do not think he's been good enough. I think he's been beyond poor this season. But when he came on the pitch, he was that man over who was ready to charge onto the ball anytime a cross went wayward for Fulham or we were clearing it from a corner. He was on the edge of the box, ready to drive forward and just carry the ball up the pitch out of danger. I thought when he was trying to take on his man, he was a lot more calculated. He was slowing it down. He was making the right decision more often than not, and he wasn't really giving the ball away too much. And as I said earlier, he should have probably had an assist after a beautiful cross into the box for Haaland, where Haaland heads it onto the post and it bounces out. And that's what I keep saying about Savinho. Savinho doesn't need to keep taking his man on and trying to cut inside and shoot, because we know Savinho can't do that. What's the one thing we know Savinho can do? Cross the ball. Savinho is a very, very good crosser of the ball, and we saw that today with that Haaland chance that he missed. Savinho's excellent at crossing the ball, but he just needs to do it more often instead of trying to take the man on, losing the ball and overcomplicating the attack. You know, leave all that to Doku, because that's what Doku's good at, whereas you should be there pumping the ball in the box. And hopefully this cameo that he had today isn't just a one-off, and he can start building on these performances and putting in more like sort of confident and sort of composed performances instead of just running around at 100 miles per hour trying to make things happen out of thin air when it doesn't need to happen and when you don't really have the facilities to do that. So yeah, I was impressed with Savinho's performance. I don't know if that's just because for me the bar is on the floor for his performances, but I thought he did quite well and put in a shift defensively to hold on to the lead, the 1-goal lead, which is actually quite embarrassing to say when you think that we were 5-1 up. But yeah, you know, I thought Savinho was good. But let me know down in the comments if, again, I'm on my own for that and Savinho actually wasn't that good after he came on. But yep, that is the 5 things that I learned from Manchester City's 5-4 win at Craven Cottage tonight against Fulham. So, you know, let me know down in the comments if I got anything wrong there, and also let me know your opinions on the match down below. Like the video if you enjoyed, and obviously subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And before I go, I will be live 5 o'clock on Saturday for a watch along of Leeds versus Liverpool in the Premier League. So if you're a Leeds fan or a Liverpool fan, or just enjoy my insight and reaction to a football match, make sure you go into the live tab on my channel and click the notification bell so you are notified when I go live. But with all that being said, I've been Nathan, and I'll see you in the next one.
Shut down cases, they belly dots to the can't see faces. Chasing to the bad guy chase it. You don't wanna be the one like Ace and like G-Take trying to turn them out wasted. Aye, tell a bad bitch come break it. Body come mad, come shake it. Shit then, get back to the basics. Bro, don't shut down cases. They belly dots to the